station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good morning. The Prime Minister pledging tough action on crime. Davis says stronger anti-gang laws coming, and that we have to address the bail issue. This as the country marks the 11th murder so far this year. It's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's here. It's the start of the end of the old way. Revolution. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Monday, January 15th, 2024. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, my special guest co-host today, Daz Legburn, will be joining us, and she has some big news to tell us about as well. It's all straight ahead. Also this morning, we are expecting to learn a bit about a special program that's going to help in the fight, we believe, to re-socialize our young people and eventually on crime. And then later on in Morning Blend Business, we're going to be talking about NIB. And especially as we're on the verge of an increase, what that should mean, and countering some messages that have been put out there about what small businesses should be doing in light of that increase. Some dangerous suggestions have been put up. And we're going to talk with an expert about that this morning. That's all straight ahead. But first, it's time for the overnight. The latest breaking news from while we're sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning. In the overnight, with the murder count climbing almost daily, Prime Minister Philip Davis giving a national address last night, assuring Bahamians that the government has a plan to deal with the network of gangs wreaking havoc on the streets of New Providence. Firstly, Davis says that the immediate response will be a three-staged approach, clearing the gangs out of the communities, keeping the communities safe by having police maintain a relentless presence there, and investing in those communities. He says the police will be armed with new resources and resolve and will strike hard against these gangs. He says, quote, "We're not just disrupting them, we're dismantling them. We will show no mercy to those gangs who have shown no mercy to their fellow citizens. If you choose crime, you will face the full weight and might of the law." Then he says after they clear the neighborhoods, they are not just going to walk away. They will move into phase 2 of the fight, and that will have the police hold the communities by maintaining an ongoing relentless presence there. The Prime Minister also saying that the government, judiciary, and lawyers have responsibility to address the issue of bail in the country, which he said has become a death sentence for many young men. He said, while a judge has the right to use discretion when granting bail, judges in the Bahamas also live in the communities and, quote, "they know the truth of the statistics. Releasing these men on the streets is akin to a countdown to a death sentence. We have a responsibility to address this issue, the judiciary, lawyers, and central government." The Prime Minister says that it's important to address the troubling situations where they find repeat serious offenders being granted bail and either becoming victims or murder of murder or perpetrating serious crimes while on bail. He says prosecutors must likewise be more aggressive in appealing instances where bail is granted, and that the elements in the situations in which these exist. Last week, Commissioner of Police Clayton Fernandez said that there is an urgent need to review the Bail Act. Meanwhile, police are investigating the country's latest murder. An argument between two men late Friday night here in New Providence resulted in one of the men being killed. Chief Superintendent Michael Johnson said two men who attended a function on Carmichael Road got into a fight. The suspect hit the victim with an object and pulled out a knife and stabbed the deceased several times in the neck. The victim stumbled across the street where he collapsed at the rear of a building. Police say that they've arrested a 30-year-old man in connection with the matter. The victim died at the scene. It's the 11th murder recorded so far for 2024. Overseas, Yemen's Houthi rebels firing an anti-ship cruise missile towards an American destroyer in the Red Sea, but a U.S. fighter jet shot it down in the latest attack, roiling global shipping amid Israel's war with Hamas in the Gaza Strip. The attack on Sunday marks the first U.S. acknowledged fire by the Houthis since America and allied nations began strikes Friday on the rebels, following weeks of assaults on shipping in the Red Sea. The Houthis have targeted that crucial corridor linking Asian and Mid-East energy and cargo shipments to the Suez Canal onward to Europe over the Israel-Hamas war, and attacks that threaten to widen that conflict into a regional conflagration. The Houthis, a Shiite rebel group allied with Iran that seized Yemen's capital in 2014, did not immediately acknowledge the attack. It wasn't immediately clear whether the U.S. would retaliate for the latest attack, though U.S. President Joe Biden has said he will not hesitate to direct further measures to protect the U.S. and the free flow of international commerce as necessary. In sports, around 200 people from over 30 countries competed in Marathon Bahamas, and hundreds more participated in the half marathon, the relay, and the pink race, formerly known as the Susan G. Komen Race for the Cure. Yu Shengni of China won the overall marathon in a time of 2:52, expressing excitement as he cruised across the finish line of the Western Esplanade yesterday, later chatting with the media through the use of a translation app. He came in 30 minutes ahead of the next finisher, Chris Calamano. Yanela Lightburn was the first woman to cross the finish line. She did so in a time of 3:22. Kamara Leslie won the half marathon in a time of 1:22. GBPA sprinters won the full relay in a time of 3:53. Read more in today's NASA Guardian. Bahamian Olympian Devon Charlton cracking open her best season with a world-leading time of 7.88 seconds in the 60-meter hurdle Saturday, winning the event at the Rod McCravey Memorial Track and Field Meet at Morton Sports in Louisville, Kentucky. It's the first time in her career that she's had a world-leading time in the 60-meter hurdles. The national record holder in that event won the race after coming into the final with the second fastest qualifying time. She opened her 2023 season with a blistering time of 7.98 seconds in the heats during the American Track League Series before clocking 7.88 seconds in the final. And there were 4 champions crowned at the 2024 Under-14 and Under-16 Bahamas Lawn Tennis Association New Year's Tournament at BLT8 National Tennis Center Sunday. William McCartney won the Under-16 Boys Division, and Brianne Ferguson secured the title in the Under-16 Girls Division. Patrick McTaggart ran away with the Under-14 Boys Division, and Brianna Fulgrave winning the title in the Under-14 Girls Division. And former Charlotte Hornets basketball player Kai Jones is committed to play for the Bahamas' senior men's national basketball team in the first window of the 2025 FIBA America Cup qualifiers set for next month. Local sports blog site 10th Year Seniors first reported the news on social media on Friday, and Jones confirmed it on his Instagram story. Head coach for the Bahamas for the first window, Moses Johnson, also confirmed to Guardian Sports that Jones is committed to play for the Bahamas in the first of 3 windows. That's going to be a home and away series against Puerto Rico, February 18th and 22nd. From the NFL big weekend wildcard playoffs, the Detroit Lions heading to winning their first playoff in 32 years with a 24-23 win over the LA Rams. The Green Bay Packers pulling a wildcard stunner, beating Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys 48-32. And from the Australian Open tennis, Coco Gauff advancing to the Australian Open second round in a bid for consecutive Grand Slam titles. That's sports, and that's the overnight. Time for your first look at weather. In your weather for today, we've got a quasi-stationary front that is meandering across the northwest Bahamas. It's going to do that before sliding east of the islands later today. A ridge of high pressure is producing pleasant weather across the central and southeastern Bahamas. Beachgoers should be alert, though, for rip currents along north and easterly beaches. For today, for the northwest Bahamas, partly cloudy with isolated showers, becoming variably cloudy and mild tonight with isolated passing showers. Expect gusty winds and higher seas in or near showers. Winds east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 4 feet, higher along Atlantic exposures. For the central and southeast Bahamas today, sunny and a bit breezy with a chance of isolated showers, becoming fair and mild tonight with a chance of isolated showers. Smallcraft caution in effect for the southeastern Bahamas, winds east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots in the central islands and 15 to 20 knots in the southeast Bahamas. Seas 2 to 4 feet in the central islands, 4 to 6 feet in the southeastern islands, higher along Atlantic exposures. Temperatures today, highs getting up to around 82 Fahrenheit, 28 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 72 Fahrenheit, 22 Celsius. That's your first look at weather this morning. We'll have your extended outlook coming up in just a bit after traffic. And it's time for a break, but when we come back, we're discussing the day's top stories right here on Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9, your home for fresh news and smart talk all day.
Struggling to repay your loan? Let us help you get back on track with payment terms that suits your financial situation and improve your credit score and credit report with the Bahamas Credit Bureau. Inquire about our restructured loans today. Call us at 356-7764.
At Wendy's, we are different. We don't just use beef. It's fresh, never frozen. Our burgers are square because we never cut corners. Served hot off the grill with fresh lettuce, tomatoes, onions, and American cheese. We believe in fast food done right. Always serving fresh, never frozen beef. Order a hot, juicy Dave single, double, or triple. Made with fresh, never frozen beef. Now only at Wendy's. Different inside and out.
Champ, baby girl, cable guy is here.
Since the very beginning, you have been with us.
This is called wave, and this is called the internet.
Okay.
All right, so you can
For
try
over 2 decades, we've been with you every step of the way.
Weevo is total class. Look at her go. She's in front.
My fellow Bahamians and residents.
So yeah, times may have changed, and so have your needs as our valued customers. But some connections stand the test of time. Rev, we're with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts. With the new JetBlue CIBC First Caribbean credit card, you're cleared for takeoff to a world of incredible benefits and perks. Use your card and earn up to 2 times True Blue points on everyday purchases. Get your first check back free and travel to your next vacation faster. Apply for the JetBlue CIBC First Caribbean credit card today at cibcfcib.com/JetBlue.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/Morning Blend 969. Text us 422-4796. Standard text rate supply. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. Joining me today is my special guest co-host. We have Odaz Lightburn. Good morning.
Good morning, Dwight. How are you?
Great to have you with us.
It's good to be here as always.
I want you to produce. Let's switch over to this mic over here
this
for
one?
Dazzy. Yeah. All right. And you can slide the one over there.
Is that better?
I think that's better. Yeah.
It is? Okay.
That one over there.
Good
Okay.
stuff, good
Great.
stuff.
Great to have you with us.
It's good to be here as usual.
And you are here on the eve of something very special happening with you and Guardian Radio.
Yes, absolutely. So this has been talked about for a while, unofficially. But I am back officially. Mm-hmm. And I'm very excited about the new show.
Back.
Yeah, it's good to be back. I'm very excited about the new show. It's called Beyond the Rock. And, you know, with all that's going on in the nation, Dwight, I'll tell you, I didn't realize how timely the show would actually be in terms of subject matter and content. But we are going to be talking to Bahamians that live abroad, for the most part, that are doing amazing things, that are contributing to the success of our nation. We're also going to be talking about, you know, pop culture, trends, things like that. But what I want us to all remember and realize as Bahamians, you can be a Bahamian anywhere you are in the world, and you can still contribute to your country no matter where you are. So I'm super excited about the first guest. It is a Bahamian who is abroad. He is in Switzerland. And I am extremely excited to interview him and talk about, you know, the good work that he's doing.
I was going to say, you're going to find enough people, but there are thousands of them all
There's
over the
so
world,
many,
right?
and so many have reached out. Obviously, it won't be every single week, but we will try as much as possible. And it'll be a mix. Bahamians locally as well who do projects abroad. But the main thing is to speak to the people that are actually doing the doing and not just a lot of the talking. And that's no shade to anyone else in society, but there's a lot of unsung heroes, Dwight, that we need to highlight, and things that need to be known about what they're actually doing and how they're playing a role in making the Bahamas better.
Excellent. So we're going to be talking about this throughout the morning, a little bit here and there. But give us really quickly the time for your show.
Yes, so it's 6:30 p.m. and we do have a lot of international listeners, so that's 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. And that'll be tomorrow. So Tuesdays, 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m.
Okay. Excellent stuff. Good luck.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great to have you back with us.
Good to be back.
Yeah, wonderful stuff.
Part-time. Good stuff.
All right. So before we get into the big stories, of course, the Prime Minister's address, I want to talk about the weekend. Phil Stubbs, I made it to the concert.
Did you?
Oh, man, that was great.
Okay.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
That's awesome. I heard it was amazing.
It was really good. Very good turnout. People had a great time. Wonderful events there, the cruise port. And fantastic. I mean, I think everybody wishes they had that much energy now, well before they're in the 70s like Phil. But yeah.
It was an amazing
really,
time.
Really great.
I did enjoy when you interviewed him as well. And he did his impromptu singing in the studio.
Oh,
that was fantastic.
That was a lot of fun that morning.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
So great. Good shout out to Phil Stubbs.
Yeah, those tickets were a hot commodity as well.
Yep. So also, this is sad because you don't want to wish people to fail, but I gotta say the Miami Dolphins helped me to win a whole case of Kalik. Yeah,
a whole case of Kalik.
And you won't believe who I don't normally bet on sports because I think betting on sports is kind of silly because you never know what this athlete is going through. They could be sick, they have a bad day, you know, something. So it's like, why would I do this? I don't control. Right? You know.
That was divine intuition.
No, I mean, it was just clear to me that the Dolphins could not win in Kansas City. I think anybody, especially when below freezing conditions, it was negative -2, or the wind chill was -22, and it was insane. And that alone, plus they can't win against good teams. And then, but I bet some heavy hitters who you think would know better,
right?
Including the sports editor that has the Guardian, and sports writer, and our engineer here at Guardian Radio. All three of them. Oh, the Dolphins, they have to win. I'm like, okay, they have to win. Okay, sure. I bet they do, but they won't. And I won.
Yeah,
I won.
My only commentary on that is what I made to a friend of mine, and it's something that Cat Williams said to Shannon Sharp in that 3-hour interview. You have an unnatural allegiance to losers, and it's unlike you.
What? This is what you say about Bahamians?
What is it?
Dolphins fans.
To the Dolphins fans, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
You have an unnatural allegiance, right? But it is what it is. It is what it is.
They came close.
They came close.
Maybe next year.
Good for them.
Yeah,
for getting as far as they did.
They're getting better.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Good for them for getting as far as they did.
Maybe next year.
Yeah. Who knows?
But we knew that wasn't going to happen.
I was sure of it. I don't know why there was any doubt
they weren't going to
that
win.
they weren't going to win. Yeah,
that'd be crazy. But I will celebrate with my case.
It isn't that they're very anticlimactic, and they seem to fumble right at the point of acquisition, right? Unfortunately, that seems to be a pattern. So I don't know what it is.
We're talking about the Dolphins again.
The Dolphins, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I made it to the marathon. I was not participating.
Okay.
Let me just make that clear.
You're cheering somebody on.
I went to cheer a friend of mine on, and we had on all of her, the shirts with her name on it. And it was a pretty good time. She did the half. And it was an extremely good turnout, I must say. Fantastic event. And shout out to the entire organizers and everyone that was there. They had, so many tents and stalls.
They did something different this year with the what used to be Susan G. Komen, now the pink race on the same day time as the marathon. How do you think that was?
I thought it was fantastic because it added to, the crowd and the energy, and you could just feel the buzz of excitement. And there were so many other teams there, and there were so many countries represented as well and I even saw runners with like their GoPro, Dwight, on their forehead. Because for us, it's ordinary to run around and see these, the scenic backdrop. But for a lot of runners, they were super excited. They flew in specifically for this event to participate and to share it with, their followers. One runner said he had vloggers that were waiting to see his footage.
Excellent.
So I thought that, the event was excellent. It was very well attended. It was very well organized, and it was just a fantastic time.
Yeah.
So shout out to them. They really made an excellent comeback, and looking forward definitely to next year.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Are you gonna do it next year?
I normally do the Susan G. I normally do that.
The 5K.
Right? Yeah. But
why don't you go for the half of the full?
Yeah,
like, you're good for it.
Okay, I'm not. I'm not, and even next year I'm sure I won't be. But the 5K.
You go, I'll go.
We'll do the 5K together.
Okay, we'll do that.
We could pledge to run the whole thing.
Yes.
I normally walk, run.
Yes.
We want to do that next year?
We could do that.
I should be ready by then.
Absolutely.
All right.
Let's do it.
Some messages before we get into the big stories. This person says here, the Phil Stubbs concert was great. Yes, indeed. This person says here, why is Guardian Radio not on BTC 612? It's been off for a long time. You've got to call BTC about that one. Thanks for letting us know, but that is a BTC issue.
Definitely.
Call BTC, please. This one says here, I did not listen to the Prime Minister's speech. Yeah, we're going to get into that right now. This person says here, what is this? Okay, yeah, more about that. We'll get into the PM speech in a bit. This person says here, Dwight and Dazzy, don't just talk about my Dolphins. Also talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Naughty, and who's on later today. He's a big fan. Will not even show up today. I think he's in.
Is he in witness protection? Or is he in some mental health watch?
Right, mental health facility.
I don't want to use the word, but
he's not doing well today. I'm sure.
Take away his belt. Take away his shoelaces.
You know what?
All of
This is what I was thinking yesterday. They would have done better to have actual Dolphins play yesterday.
Agree.
Right?
Yeah.
And then actual Cowboys.
Right.
They would have won.
I like how you think.
Yeah.
I like that.
But I think the two of them have the same issue.
They do. I don't follow
pressure. They can't.
I don't follow football very closely. I don't really care about it. But for what I do see that surfaces that I see,
Dolphins and Cowboys always lose.
It's clear.
Right.
Like it's
in the last.
This is never a mystery.
20-something years.
Right. Never a mystery.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe next year.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll see.
So let's get into it with all that's happening right now in the news. So Friday, we learned that we had another murder. Two folks got into a fight, and
Yes,
that
very
is a
unfortunate.
violent stabbing death there.
Yes.
The 11th.
Also, that sexual assault with the young lady.
It's all manner of issues other than
Oh, yeah.
murders. Yes.
Yes.
There's a lot going on in this little tiny place.
Yes.
So finally, the Prime Minister giving a national address. We're going to play good portions of it for you if you missed it. But as you heard in the overnight, the Prime Minister is pledging tough action on crime. Take a listen to Prime Minister Philip Davis.
Good evening, everyone. In this, my first public national statement for the year, I would have preferred to have taken this time to set out the plans we have in place to further lift our national development in 2024. Instead, with the country having witnessed 11 murders over the past 14 days, I want to speak to you about the things we are doing to reduce the incidence of crime and the plans we are beginning to implement, ultimately to prevent crime being committed in the first place. Over the past year, and in the past few weeks in particular, New Providence has seen the scene of senseless carnage, much of it attributed to persons already on bail for serious offenses. Most murderers and victims have also been connected to those associated in some way with gangs. Gang-related activity has plagued our country for far too long. Over the years, a number of initiatives have been launched to try to deal with it. We are now preparing the most comprehensive approach yet. Our frontline response to the present crisis is to bring forward a strategy which is already in the advanced stages of planning. Our approach lies in 3 stages: clear, hold, and build. We're going on the offensive, but simply, our first phase is to clear out the gangs from our neighborhoods. Our police, armed with new resources and resolve, will strike hard against these gangs. We're not just disrupting them, we are dismantling them. We will show no mercy to those who have shown no mercy to their fellow citizens. If you choose crime, you will face the full weight and might of the law. After we clear these neighborhoods, we're not just walking away. We'll move to phase 2, which is the whole phase. Our police will hold these communities by maintaining an ongoing, relentless presence. This is an area which we think has not been addressed fully in the past. We are sending a clear message to any criminal who thinks they can make a comeback. We are here. We're here to stay, and we're not going anywhere. This phase is about constant vigilance and strength. Lastly, we build. Not just buildings and roads, but building opportunities, building futures, building hope. This is about investing in our communities, creating opportunities that didn't exist before, and ensuring that crime is never again seen as a desirable option. We're not just reclaiming our streets, we are revitalizing them. Clear, whole, build. It's an approach which has been used in some form or another in other countries with significant degrees of success. We are adapting it to suit the situation on the ground here in the Bahamas, and we are fully resolved to do what is necessary to succeed. Most of the killings are gun-related. There are far too many firearms on our streets. In fact, we have already begun to take more aggressive actions against those found in possession to support our zero-tolerance approach. Our anti-gang and firearm task force is in full swing. Last year, the judiciary designated a magistrate specifically to deal with firearms offenses. We now have quicker prosecutions with stiffer penalties being imposed. From the date of first appearance in court to conviction or acquittal is now taking an average of 2 months rather than a number of years, as was previously the case. The backlog is also being cleared. Swift justice is at work. We will build on this success. Friends, you won't believe where we are finding these guns, stashed in cereal boxes and tucked away in snack packets, buried in innocent-looking surroundings. Guns are also being hidden by girlfriends, parents, and grandparents. Most worryingly, children and young people are being used to hide weapons near schools or even attempting to smuggle them in their underwear. And this is true of both girls and boys. It's clear evidence of the lengths criminals will go. Let me tell you, no matter how clever these gangs think they are, our task force is smarter, tougher, and more determined. We are uncovering their tricks, and we are putting an end to their game. There's another hard truth at play. We don't make guns here in the Bahamas. These firearms are coming from abroad, primarily from the United States. I've been straight with the United States government about the need to step up their game, and they have, as a result, tightened their response. Our partnership with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms is strengthening. We're not just talking, we're taking action. We are tracking down Bahamians with dual citizenship who have been buying guns in the U.S. and trafficking them here. And it's working. We've already busted some major operations. During the past 2 years, we have significantly increased the resources to help the police to be more effective. We have recruited over 200 more officers, brought more vehicles onto the streets, provided more technological support, more firearms, and so on. We now need to go even further. Trained police officers are already in every school. We will enhance their capacity to ensure safety at school and build positive relationships with students. We will increase police presence in high-crime areas to deter criminal activities. We will install more state-of-the-art surveillance technology using facial recognition CCTV to help with crime detection and prevention. We are encouraging officers to build stronger community ties in order to improve intelligence gathering. We are creating dedicated teams to provide assistance and protection to witnesses in criminal cases. We are reviewing the operation of the Confidential Informant Fund with a view to increasing resources to enhance the effectiveness of information gathering and covert operations. We are constructing a national forensic laboratory in order to reduce our dependency on foreign jurisdictions. We will then be able to conduct our own forensic analysis, which will significantly speed up investigations and improve the quality of evidence used in trials. We are going to introduce the toughest anti-gang legislation ever. If you are associated with a gang, we are coming after you. If you have a lot of shiny things with no way to explain your wealth, we are going to seize what you have. But let's be clear. This is not just about more police on the streets. It's about smarter, strategic policing. We are targeting the hotspots, dismantling the networks, and choking off the lifelines of those criminal organizations. Our message to the gangs is unequivocal. You will find no safe haven in the Bahamas. We will find you, we'll stop you, and we'll bring you to justice. My fellow Bahamians, one of the hallmark values of my administration is compassion. I am proud of this. We aim to provide competent, compassionate leadership for all Bahamians. This reflects one of my core personal values as to how I think decent human beings ought to treat each other. But anyone who mistakes compassion for weakness is in for a very, very rude awakening. We are all likely to be affected by the more intrusive policing which is coming. We will not violate anyone's civil liberties, but you are likely to be impacted by more roadblocks and unannounced police action. This may make you late for your appointments or delay plans you have, but this is a small price to pay for the collective benefit of having our streets made safer and our lives less blighted by murder and other violent crimes. We ask for your cooperation, support, and trust as the police go about their business. Rather than complain about any inconvenience, maybe thank those officers who are working on our behalf. In turn, officers will be reminded that they are to operate at all times within the law and treat each person with the necessary courtesies and dignity that they deserve.
All right, that is Prime Minister Philip Davis. We're going to play another part for you in a little bit, but let's get your reaction, what you heard so far. In the next part, he talks about bail and having the need to crack down on bail, but we'll get to that in a bit. But you heard him say we're going to clear the communities of the gangs. We're going to hold them and to make sure that they're not just going to walk away after they do that. And then they're going to build the communities. That's part of the plan for now, and again, get ready to be impacted as the policing might intrude on your day, but it'll be for the best in the long run.
Yeah, I hear all of that, and I think it is wonderful that he is addressing the nation, the Prime Minister is addressing the nation, and wanting to actually focus on it. It's not it's not being ignored. So I think that is fantastic. My only concern is that it's still a punitive measure after certain things have already materialized, right? So I would love to see on a government level, although, my stance is always that we are responsible for ourselves. We have to cultivate and create, the lives that we want, etc. But I'd like to see it addressed or at least acknowledged that this is just a result of a lot of social ills we have that stem from a number of things. Emotional dysregulation in the population, especially in our men, right? And I witness this on a daily basis, unfortunately, where conflict resolution, is extreme. It's almost non-existent. The ability to empathize, just the emotional intelligence itself, very low, very low. Most interactions are seen as injurious. Most interactions are seen, and what is the root of this? Self-esteem, right? Low self-esteem, because someone with high self-esteem, a man with high self-esteem, is not going around seeking conflict. They are secure in themselves. They're contributing to society. They're raising families. They're responsible. They are contributing in meaningful ways. We need to, on a national level, address that collectively there is some serious issues happening with just the social dynamic of the country, and how do you steer that in a different direction, right?
Well, perhaps this will come out with the hold and the build aspect of this 3-point plan.
I'm hoping, but I would have liked it to be specifically articulated. Not that it does not exist, but if it's not specifically articulated, you run the risk of saying that, is it even identified as a reason? Because you can do punitive all day, but the problem is the root, right? The problem is, where does it stem from?
Now, he did talk about some programs they're working on. He says the Ministry of Education is playing a big role in that.
Yes,
and
I did hear that.
So we suspect that is part of it. But
I'm hoping.
The challenge is we have a lot of these character building programs now in the country,
and they're not being attended.
Parents to get their children into it. The parents either don't see the value in it, or the children don't either, and that influences the parents, unfortunately. So other than forcing people to do this, will that be a part of it? I don't know. How else will we get folks to understand that they have an issue, they are the issue, and that they need to address these issues?
If you don't see value in yourself, other people will not see value in you, right? And it's still a trickle-down effect. Like I said, I do not blame the government for a lot, but the government does have some role to play into collectively raising that self-esteem, right? And so far, a lot of governments have just not done it and addressed it because they themselves, individually in the government, are facing a lot of the same challenges. Like I said, the government does not fly down out of the sky. They're not aliens that just descend upon us and, we're going to rule. They come from us. So some of the same ills are also present, right? And so if they are examples of, what may not be seen as, self-actualization or the highest form of, human consciousness. And when I say that, just meaning someone who is aware of what they are here to do in this world and are pursuing that purpose. So if they are not fulfilling that role, then it's just like a mirror effect on the society. It is what it is.
Wow.
And this is the root of the problem.
We've got a lot of messages coming in on our text line, and we've got calls as well. Let's take these. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Call us toll free, 242-300-5720. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. Okay, let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hello?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, morning, Dwight.
Hi.
Yeah, I agree with what Darcy is saying, but I just want to say that I don't want it to make it sound like I'm attacking what the Prime Minister do. It was long overdue for a national address. It's been years, but my thing is that it's not a new initiative. It's an initiative that was implemented in Yorkshire in May of 2003. And so we keep bringing in these initiatives that I won't use the word steal, I'll just say copy from other jurisdictions that has like 2.3 million people with 600 murders, and so they tailor-make policies that would suit their area. We had long enough, the Prime Minister had long enough as the leader of the opposition and being involved in politics to come with a direct plan built for this country. And so you may think that it sounds good, but it only sounds that he's saying a bunch of things and it's not real, but we'll give it a chance. We'll see how it happens. But it's time now for us to make something that is 242 and not London, England, United States, and try to bring all those stuff that Jazzy are saying and other root cause of our problems and fix it the right way. If we don't do something that's going to be tailor-made towards our country, we're not going to get it done. We have to stop copy and pasting, putting a Band-Aid on it, and think that it's going to work. Oh, a lot of people don't do criminal justice or read the tabloids in other countries, so they don't know what's going on. Yes, Prime Minister come up with a new idea. No, it's time to stop this foolishness. Let's really, really focus on our problem, and let's fix it together as a community. Thank you.
Okay, I hear you. Hey, I don't know if we've tried many of the things they've tried in other places to know whether it won't work or not. But I think it'll be a hybrid. There are some things that easily could be incorporated here. I mean, the time that it'll take to find out I don't know what to say.
Here's the thing. Everything helps, right, Dwight? Yeah. So I agree. I agree, and this is by no means a criticism. Everything at this point will help. And the Prime Minister is 100% correct in his stance of what he can do within his power to enact safety. So I don't want to disregard or discount any of that. But again, it's going to have to be a multi-tiered approach. So he has to play his part, and he is playing his part beautifully. He has to do what he has to do, right? But as a collective, we have to also do our parts, because you cannot police people that are going to create a lot of the same issues in perpetuity. So we have to look at our culture. We have to look at who we identify ourselves as we define race, right? And geographic location. How do we see ourselves? And that is going to be the root cause. That is not going to be done, Dwight, in an administration. That is going to take a lifetime. But there has to be an acknowledgement and a starting point of that, because if we don't do that, then we're just going to go from one punitive measure to the next. I don't want to call the name of the country, but I was listening to the radio one day, and just in intervals, not all day, but I heard we're going to become like this other country 3 times on the radio in that one day. 3 times on Bahamian radio. We do not want to focus on what we do not want and bring that into our reality. Please, we don't. We have to look at each one of us. We have to, and I know they say something like 80+% of the population has no self-awareness, Dwight. Literal NPCs. We do what we're programmed to do based on external stimuli and how we were raised and how our brain develops up until the age of 7. However, we're going to have to try.
Wow.
We're going to have to try. Also, we're going to lose a nation.
Let's take these calls really quickly. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, man.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Yeah. Hey, Dwight. I think we need 45 years, and 65 years. 45 years for just having the gun, and 65 years for firing the gun. All right? If you play with this thing, this will keep on every now and then happening. We got to nip it in the bud, man. You understand? 45 years for the gun, and 65 years for firing the gun. You got to stop this thing. Listen, we have the lawyers and the gunman, okay? That's what causing this to be on the street. The lawyers looking for money. These lawyers break, and they working for the money, all right? Between the jail, the lawyers, and the people who have the gun.
Okay.
So if we don't want to do something like that, this country would always have a couple people killing people. Life don't have no value to some of these people who handling these guns. We need 45 years for just having the gun, and 65 years for firing it.
Okay. No, regardless of any of the age, any story, whatever, I just across the board crackdown. Hey, we got to show you serious.
The answers already exist, Dwight. We don't have to look far. You can look at certain countries, and while we may want to seek certain liberations, certain countries, you're not going to like where I'm going to go with this, but countries like, if you look at states in the United Arab Emirates, right? You look at Dubai, you look at Sharjah, you look at Abu Dhabi, they don't have these problems. You can leave your phone and go about your business and come back and your phone is still there. Women are not unsafe, but the law is extremely punitive. The law is extremely strict, but also they have a high intrinsic value of who they think they are, right? And so if you go to a country like that, and it's been in the news, especially in American news, and you even loudly verbally assault one of their citizens, you will not see the light of day because they value their citizens highly. And why is that? Some may say it's money. Some may say it's religion. There's a couple of different things that are attributes of that, right? But we can create that same thing. But the problem is accountability. Us as Bahamians, we do not like accountability, and we have to face that fact. There's not going to be anyone that's going to fix it if we are not ourselves personally accountable.
Already seeing some text messages coming through about why do my rights have to be infringed upon. We'll get into that and more of your messages in just a bit. We're going to break for news and be back with more from the PM's address. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of the start.
Got your first good traffic this morning brought to you by RBC. Visit rbc.com/Caribbean for more information. In your real-time traffic at this hour already, we're seeing a heavy traffic on Milo Butler Highway from well south of Fire Trail straight up to Tonic Williams Darling Highway in the northbound lanes there. And traffic building along Fire Trail eastbound to that roundabout and westbound along Tonic Williams Darling Highway to that roundabout. And we've got also Glasner Road, heavy traffic for you from south of the Fire Trail intersection straight up through to Bahamar Boulevard and JFK Drive. Blue Hill Road also busy for you near Carmichael and north of Soldier Road straight through to the roundabout with Independence Drive. Independence Drive active in both directions, but mainly westbound. And East Street and Soldier Road, that intersection looking very busy for you, especially north of the intersection, heading toward the roundabout with Independence Drive and East-West Highway, and straight through to Robinson Road, actually, heading northbound. Eastern Road, heavy traffic from San Souci to Johnson Road and Prince Charles Drive at the major intersections, heavy traffic for you this morning. Robinson Road, very busy between Soldier and Old Trail. And Soldier Road looking like not the place to be this morning. That's your real-time traffic and your morning blend traffic alert brought to you by RBC. Learn more at rbc.com/Caribbean.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Revolution. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/Morning Blend 969. Or text us on the Guardian Radio text line powered by BTC 422-4796. Standard text rates apply. And now at 8:16, time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by Easy Car Sales. Ready to break free from the pump? Visit Easy Car Sales and take the wheel of an electric vehicle. It's not just a test drive, it's a revolution. Dump the pump and drive electric. Visit easy242.com for more information. Okay, here's what's happening in your weather. We've got a quasi-stationary frontal boundary that continues to meander across the northwest Bahamas before sliding east of the islands later today. A ridge of high pressure is producing pleasant weather conditions across the central and southeast Bahamas. Boaters, though, beachgoers should be alert as there's a threat of rip currents along north and easterly beaches. Your forecast for today for the northwest Bahamas: partly cloudy with isolated showers, becoming variably cloudy, and mild tonight with an isolated passing shower. For the central and southeastern islands, sunny and a bit breezy with a chance of isolated showers, becoming fair and mild tonight with a chance of isolated showers. Smoke-craft caution in effect for the southeastern islands. Temperatures today look for highs getting up to around 82 Fahrenheit, 28 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to 72 Fahrenheit, 22 Celsius. In your extended outlook, high pressure will briefly build over the islands on Tuesday before another frontal boundary slides into the northwest Bahamas on Wednesday. So for tomorrow, Tuesday, partly sunny and warm, becoming variably cloudy with a few scattered showers at night over the northwestern islands. Wednesday, variably cloudy to cloudy and breezy with isolated showers near the front, partly sunny and mild with a chance of isolated showers in the central and southeastern islands. That's your morning blend weather check. Weather check also brought to you by Sherwin-Williams Paints. Sherwin-Williams Paints has you covered for all your painting and equipment needs. Visit Sherwin-Williams Paints online or in-store today. And it's time for another check of your traffic for today, brought to you by RBC, rbc.com/Caribbean for more information. In your real-time traffic, a number of hotspots this morning. We've got Milo Butler Highway, heavy traffic well south of Fire Trail, straight up to Tonic Williams Darling Highway. Traffic is backed up along Tonic Williams Darling Highway as well. That's especially if you're heading southeastwards towards the roundabout and westward as well. Six-legged roundabout also seeing heavy traffic northbound and eastbound on JFK Drive. A bit west, we've got Gladstone Road. Gladstone Road still busy for you from Fire Trail straight up to the roundabout with Bahamar Boulevard and JFK Drive. And we're seeing a bit of congestion along West Bay Street as you approach the roundabout with Bahamas Boulevard, both directions this morning. Then we've got West Bay Street if you're heading eastbound toward the roundabout with New Providence Highway. And Saunders Beach in that area, they're going to be seeing some heavy traffic there. Blue Hill Road still busy for you from St. Vincent straight up to Independence Drive. That's northbound. Independence Drive back to both directions, especially westbound. And East Street looking congested for you from south of Soldier Road straight through to Robinson Road, especially if you're northbound. Soldier Road is very busy for you near Windsor Place, straight through to the intersection with Bernard Wolfe and Village Road. Robinson, heavy traffic from Soldier to Old Trail. And pockets along Prince Charles Drive, especially near Elizabeth Estates. And the major intersections, Eastern Road still busy for you, just east of Fox Hill to about Johnson Road. So you'll need your patience this morning. Good luck to you. That's your real-time traffic and your morning blend traffic alert brought to you by RBC. Learn more at rbc.com/Caribbean.
Whether you're looking for your first or new home, or even using your existing home as equity, RBC understands that your journey to home ownership is unique, and your mortgage financing should reflect that. That is why, at RBC, we have dedicated mortgage specialists that provide sound advice and helpful solutions to make your dream home a reality. Best of all, the RBC mortgage team is mobile, flexible, and will meet you almost anywhere. Visit rbc.com/take 60 seconds to connect with an RBC mortgage specialist.
Wherever you're headed, the Custom Computers Know-How team is standing by to help guide you in the East and the West. We now have 2 convenient locations on Patton Street in Palmdale and our newest store in the Caves Village Shopping Plaza through the Blake Road entrance. Discover the latest products by top international brands and the knowledge you need to unleash tomorrow's technology today. Drop by Custom Computers out east or out west. We're open Saturdays from 10 till 4.
Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Street, has those hard-to-find fasteners for you right now. You can find stainless steel regular hex, carriage bolts, galvanized bolts, threaded rods, nails, self-tap screws, sex bolts, anchor bolts, turnbuckles, masonry tools, hand tools, and weed whacker strings. Check out the rope selection and car body fasteners too. Special orders are welcome. It's your #1 fastener store. Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Streets. Call 326-1976.
What would you do with extra cash? Plan a trip.
Overhaul my wardrobe.
With CIBC First Caribbean, you can get comfy with savings on your mortgage costs. Buy or build your home or switch your mortgage to us and get up to US $1,000 off the loan application fee. Up to US $2,000 off home insurance. With up to US $10,000 towards switching costs, your pockets will be comfy too. Visit CIBCFCIB.com/get comfy for more information. Conditions apply.
There's a new electric vehicle in town. The Jack brand of SUVs, trucks, sedans, and commercial vans, available only at Easy Car Sales, home of the fully electric vehicle. For a powerful, smooth ride at a fraction of the cost to drive, leave the pump behind and hit the road with Jack. Visit easy242.com to see our brand new Jack models and drop into Easy Car Sales for a test drive. It'll have you singing. Hit the road with Jack, and don't you pump gas no more.
What would you do with extra cash? Plan a trip.
Overhaul my wardrobe.
With CIBC First Caribbean, you can get comfy with savings on your mortgage costs. Buy or build your home or switch your mortgage to us and get up to US $1,000 off the loan application fee. Up to US $2,000 off home insurance. With up to US $10,000 towards switching costs, your pockets will be comfy too. Visit CIBCFCIB.com/get comfy for more information. Conditions apply.
Here's the sure-winning art store moment from Shelley and Dee Dee.
We're the only full art store in the Bahamas. If we don't have it, we make a list, and trust me, our boss can get that. If you need that, he can get that. You can find sketchbooks, acrylics, the canvases in all sizes, stencils. We have the Angelus that they use on shoes and letters. We're the only persons in Nassau that carries the Montana spray. We have the Krylon sprays, watercolor and paints, the oil, chalk paints, the alcohol paint, metallic paints, the little Floetrol, and we have cleaning products for the artists, thinning products for the artists, and Crayola colors, and glitters, pencils, the Posca markers, and pastels, oil, and the acrylic pastels, dyes. Oh yeah, we also have airbrush paint. I had to forget that part of the movie. Gift sets, hobby craft,
Oil, shrimp,
clays.
stew, shrimp gumbo. But art supplies. We have a lot of them. Sherwin-Williams Art Store. Find colour in every day.
At RBC, we know buying your new ride is a very personal experience with many decisions to make. That's why we leave the car choice to you and ask that you leave the rest to one of our RBC Auto Finance specialists, trained to provide sound advice and helpful solutions to make your dream car a reality. The RBC Auto Finance team is mobile, flexible, and will meet you almost anywhere. Visit rbc.com/lovemyride to connect with an RBC Auto Finance specialist in your area.
Earning zero interest on your savings at the bank? With as little as $100, you can start earning interest on your money while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank with the CFAL Savings Express Plan. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit CFAL.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
We're back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Odaz Lightburn this morning. Coming up in a few minutes, we're going to be talking about the Youth Guard program. We're going to find out all about that in just a bit. And later in business, we are going to be talking with an expert about NIB and what you need to keep in mind as we get closer to having the rate increase in just a few months. All right, so we are continuing to talk about the Prime Minister's address from last night, his national address, and what he had to say about crime. But Daz and I were talking, I mean, a lot was said about gangs and gang violence and about the murders being linked to gangs. I mean, so far this year,
I'm just not
you
saying
never
that.
know, but a lot of these were domestic, a lot of people with beefs. I'm not sure. I mean, and some of these folks are a little old to be in gangs. I don't know how gangs work these days, but this is more about conflict resolution. Than necessarily gangs. And
Conflict resolution.
Keep saying gangs, you're going to have a lot of people think they are fine and safe because I'm not in a gang. I'm a big old man. I'm not in a gang. But but do you know how to talk to people?
Right.
And do you know if that person is going to take what you said to them the wrong way and decide they need to deal with you.
Right.
And that is a huge problem in this country.
It's a huge problem. It's a huge problem. And I can tell you, even from personal experience, it's exhausting, Dwight, when you are trying to communicate with people that do not have conflict resolution skills and their only goal is discord and disharmony. It's exhausting. And a lot of people are dealing with that in daily life.
Yeah.
And so until we, on a collective, on a national level, decide that, hey, we are going to find value in ourselves because other people are just mirrors of us, right? We're going to find value in ourselves. We're going to seek to be better and to actually enjoy being alive. Until that is the posture, we're going to have a lot of these problems that are going to continue to happen.
Absolutely.
You know, and the police, they are overwhelmed, right? They cannot be mediators. You cannot be running to them for every little single thing. That is not typically what their role is supposed to be. So we need to find that within ourselves.
Well, I don't know. They're saying a lot of these things, these conflicts, people didn't come running to them with it. And now it's gotten to the point where you're lying on the concrete dead.
Well, here's the thing. There's two sides of that. So one of the things is, are they going to take it seriously? Are they going to receive your information with the professionalism that people desire? Or are they going to dismiss it? Are they going to follow up based on, the allegations that are being brought forth? Yeah. What is going to happen? And so is that the posture out of fatigue? Is that the posture out of they themselves having a personal bias where, that's not that bad? Mm-hmm. So,
That's a great point.
Yeah, we have serious issues, and we identify ourselves in a very poor manner. If you try to do anything in a certain state in this country, so you'll hear certain narratives of, you're trying to be whatever. So what do we see ourselves as? Mm-hmm. Right? Do we see that certain things are too good for us, and so that we need to achieve the lowest? Do we compare ourselves to countries worse instead of comparing ourselves to countries that are better to look to increase? Like, we have a national self-esteem issue, I'm telling you. Mm. And so we are only merely reflecting as a collective how we see ourselves. Yeah. Because if we love ourselves, we're not going to have external conflict with every single person. And it's not going to be, a hair trigger anger response to things that don't require it. That is an internal issue.
Absolutely.
A lot of internal dysregulation. So sad.
Yeah.
We got to fix it.
We've got a lot of text messages I want to get to, but let's get to these calls. And we do want to play the other part of the Prime Minister's address where he talks about the bail issue. But let's take this call really quickly. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Dwight. Good morning, Darcy. Sally Johnson, critical thinker. Dwight, let me describe the Prime Minister's speech in one word: inscrutable. For those who may not know, the word means impossible to understand or interpret. My question to the Prime Minister, though, I know he did. This is nothing more than a copy and paste. And Darcy, you could maybe explain to Dwight that a plan actually comes attached to something showing the what, when, why, how, all of those different things. This doesn't do that. In fact, if you go to the plans that he copied this from, which came across different areas in the UK, you would see that they actually had strategies that was released so that individuals and communities could know what exactly is happening. My question again to the Prime Minister, the Voice Beyond the Clear Hole bill was basically first developed in about 2013 during the counterinsurgency after Afghanistan. And I was wondering if the Prime Minister was thinking more of a war zone insurgency as opposed to the policing aspect of it, because we are in a war zone. But when you begin to talk about crime goes beyond murder. So here it is that we have home invasions, robbery, theft, shoplifting, vehicle theft, casualty, attempted murders, rape, attempted rape, larceny. All of these different things are all part of a crime strategy that has an ongoing impact cross-sector across the entire community. And so you cannot use simply a high rate of murder as the exclusivity as a means of combating crime or the crisis that we're facing in our country, and the solutions and applications need to go forward. I say to the Prime Minister and to the Progressive Liberal Party, you had sufficient time to have developed a strategy over the last 2 years, and even for the other 5 years you had an opposition. And I say to you, go back and come back rather than simply because of the demand of the people wanting to have something, giving us another marketing campaign. I'm embarrassed. I'm upset. I'm insulted by this proposition that the Prime Minister came with nothing but linguistic this more like linguistic contortionism to appease us by simply saying something, as about bringing something substantive.
All right. Well, the murder thing is what has everyone's attention.
Yeah.
And so
due to
that's what
interpretation
needed to be addressed more than anything else. As the police have been telling us, some of the other things, although they're only down by single digits, are down. But the murder is definitely not. Good morning. You're on the air.
Golly days, you know, for so long with you and your guest, Dwight.
Turn on your radio for us, please.
Say it again? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Gotta go someplace else.
Okay, we're going to put you on hold while you do that. We'll put you on hold while you do that. Let's take the other call. Good morning. You're on the air.
Morning. Good morning, Dwight. How are you?
Hi, doing well.
I've listened to the Prime Minister's speech, right? I thought somewhat, sort of attached to it, but I still feel like he should have been a little bit more extreme. Okay, I was looking forward to maybe the talking about going in Parliament and passing passing some law of penalty down, when they talk about the forensic science, would they have to go away? Because I think that is something, I think that is prolonged the case, and why these persons, once they go to prison, they just have to be out on bail because the court doesn't hear or try the case in time based on this test having to be, going off to the state. So the fact that he talk about that, that's something that I hope to come to pass and hope that they'll really, move that forward and quickly so that really would say a lot for some of these cases and bail. And when it comes to the roadblock, I want to see it, and I've been calling for it every day and all day. So, I think that it's more or less, not too bad.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right. So let's quickly play this. What the Prime Minister had to say about bail, and he says it's definitely an issue that needs to be addressed, as many have been calling for something to be done with a number of people out on bail being murdered themselves or repeating, allegedly, additional murders. Let's take a listen to this.
And together we will win. But our fight against crime isn't just about gangs and guns. Social and domestic violence is a cancer in our society, eating away at the fabric of our communities. We seem to have lost the ability to deal with our conflicts in ways which don't automatically lead to violence. That's why we have set up a dedicated domestic violence unit within the Royal Bahamas Police Force. This isn't just another police department. We've got officers specifically trained to handle these sensitive cases, to protect the victims and deal with the perpetrators the way they deserve to be dealt with. But we need to go further. And so I'm asking ministers to recommend a package of measures which may be adopted to help improve the ways in which we resolve our conflicts across the whole society. Cussing, fists, knives, and guns have no place in how we resolve our differences. While the police move forward to clear, hold, and build our communities, there's still much, much more that needs to be done to reduce crime in our country. In the past, while a lot of attention has been given to the policing effort, other factors which contribute substantially to crime have not had the same focus. Back in August last year, we agreed a strategy which would tackle the entire criminal life cycle. We recognize that we need both a whole of government and whole of society approach. If we are both to reduce crime as well as root out the causes of crime. In October, we convened a gang crime and justice task force to drive the implementation of that strategy. While it is driven by me and the team in my office, it is chaired by the Minister of Education and the Minister of National Security. The task force meets weekly and is attended by a number of ministers, the Commissioner of Police, Commissioner of the Bahamas, Department of Correctional Services, and the Commodore of the Defense Force and their teams. Other non-governmental participants attend the task force as needed. The strategy emerged from an understanding that crime is not just a legal issue, but a societal one. And the causes of crime are deeply rooted in a range of social, economic, and psychological factors. The strategy draws on contemporary research, successful models from around the world, and consultations with experts across various fields. We break it down into 5 pillars for action. Firstly, prevention. This is the ultimate aim of all our efforts, to prevent crime being committed in the first place. This pillar focuses on addressing the root causes of crime. It involves community development, educational initiatives, social services, and economic opportunities, aiming to prevent the emergence of criminal behavior, particularly among at-risk populations. Secondly, detection. We need to strengthen our efforts in detection and make sure they are sufficiently linked.
All right, so we're going to get to the bail thing, bail part right now. But again, he's talking about getting to the root of the crime matters here. But let's pick it up where he specifically talks about bail.
Has been widely debated. This is understandable, given the fact that so many of the murders being committed are done so by those who are out on bail, and that those on bail themselves in turn become victims of murder. I understand the frustration and the blame shifting that have surfaced during these debates, but there are some realities which must be faced. A judge has the right to use his discretion when granting bail. Judges in the Bahamas, though, live in the Bahamas, and they know the truth of the statistics. Releasing these men on the streets is akin to a countdown to a death sentence. We all have a responsibility to address this issue, the judiciary, lawyers, and central government. In this context, I think it important to address a troubling situation where we find repeat serious offenders being granted bail and either becoming victims of murder or perpetrating serious offenses while on bail. These, in my opinion, justify a more aggressive approach by the judiciary in denying bail in these cases. In my view, the prosecutors must likewise be more aggressive in appealing instances where bail is granted and the elements I've just described exist. Tomorrow will be our National Day of Prayer. I hope that each of you will participate in whatever way you can so that we can provide each other with our mutual support as we engage in national soul searching. I'm grateful to the Christian Council for convening this day to bring our nation together and pray for healing. We all need to play our part. Whatever success we may have from our whole of government approach will only go so far. We need everyone, the whole society, to join in the effort. If you are a parent or friend or neighbor or family member who sees a gun under the bed or in the closet and fail to do something, you're part of the problem. You might believe that you are protecting your child, but you're likely doing the opposite.
Okay, Prime Minister Philip Davis, another piece of the national address yesterday. Okay, so let's talk about it really quickly. We don't have much time left, but we'll take these calls and we want to read some of these messages. Good morning, you're on the air.
Is that me, Dwight?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the thing is, the Prime Minister, he shouldn't be talking about putting the police when he, in the neighborhoods when he is not putting the immigration people in the neighborhood. We have so much people that are not of us in this little Bahamas, especially in Mason's Edition, Fort Wayne Castle area, and nothing is being done. Not only that, he need to help people in the neighborhood. He need his whole team. You know what I'm saying? They help people, the immigration, all in the neighborhoods, because those are the kind of problem in which we are having. You need they're the people who needs to deal with it. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't think it'll be one agency, but I hear you. Okay, this call, and then we'll get to your messages. Good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight.
Hi.
To your guests and to the Bahamas. Dwight, I'm a bit concerned, and I'm afraid in the same hand, because when I listen to the citizens that call the show and, try to critique the Prime Minister's address and speak negative about it, it makes me concerned, because I am a parent, I'm a husband, and I'm a citizen of this country. I have to live in this country. But when I hear people who only sit back to bring negative remarks about an address, but any Prime Minister, it's not just necessarily this Prime Minister, but any Prime Minister, it concerns me, because we as citizens, rather than finding the negative, should either try to find something positive about it, either should bring some positive ideas and say, well, you know, I like what the Prime Minister is saying, but I think he should have had this or he should have done that. You know, but I mean, like a critical thinker, I mean, a smart guy, as smart as he is, I mean, why can't we just give more impact to what is being said, or try to critique it, or try to make it better, so that we all can feel comfortable. We're in a crisis in this country.
Yeah, sadly, that is sadly human nature. That's how it is. But what did you like about it? What did you?
I mean,
what?
The fact that the Prime Minister made an address, in spite of him taking it from some other country. My thing is, if it works in another country, you know, and you want to adopt it, what is the problem with it? But the fact that he actually addressed it and is concerned that the citizens are at the place they are with the type of crime level and all the type of stuff that is going on. The fact that he addressed it, the fact that they're trying to do something, it says that, to me, that they actually care about the crime that is going on and they actually want to do something about it. So let us, as citizens, let us help, man. I mean, because we are the government, all right? If my Prime Minister failed, whether he be FNM, PLP, DNA, or whatever, then I fail, okay, as a citizen. So my thing is, let us come together, man, as citizens. We have one of the best countries in the world. So let's come together as citizens, man, and make our country even better. That's how I feel about it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, let me read these messages really quickly. This person says here, there's a high number of rapes, a high number of child abuse cases, a large number of home, vehicles, and businesses being broken into or robbed, violent crimes like assaults. While murder is high, we also have greater problems that lead to the issues of murder. Do we believe that all of these are caused by gang members or because of conflict resolution? If we do, then we are dumber than we think. All I heard was the problems. These problems come from deeper issues in the country. I did not hear anything about dealing with the education system, the development of better economic programs for the wider community to raise the standard of living. Nassau has become a segregated ghetto where the limit of resources has been reached, causing a natural aggression for development. It has become a jungle of sorts, where survival of the strongest is the norm. Time to build a brand new paradigm and country from the bottom up. It will take a decade or so to do so, and Bahamians will have to tighten their belts and pocketbooks as we will face the realities of our present situation. The major issue that we have to change before we go forward is the corruption in governance. It is the essence of a failed system when those responsible for governance are incapable of doing so. A developed system can never be developed when the building of the system itself involves wholesale grafting with family, friends, and perverted lovers benefiting. We have leaders who lack integrity and the desire to build legacies for the future generations. Wow. Okay, that was a lot. This person says here, the Prime Minister says they're going after people with shiny things with no way to explain their wealth. That's 90% of politicians. Like, oh dear. Oh boy. Oh boy. 90? You think it's 90%? Anyway, this person says here, the Prime Minister's address did not sound serious or convincing enough to me. Same old flowery speeches. The laws on the books for crimes only need to be enforced. Please, no more unnecessary addresses and speeches on crime. This person says here, all very disappointing, no substance. This one says here, the Prime Minister said they're going to take shiny things from people who cannot explain how they got it. Well, cool. Does this apply for politicians as well? Another one of those. Okay. Dwight, the Prime Minister and leaders are completely lost. Talk. Roadblocks all day and night will not stop nothing. Can't run a rock 31 miles. When the youth of the UK en masse decided to act the fool, the government took decisive action. They facilitated the running of the court system 24/7, including weekends, to bring the culprits to justice. Why can't the government take some of those steps to address violent crimes, especially murder? Now, the text there was an urban renewal of the first version or iteration of this strong three-pronged plan of the Prime Minister. What's really going to be different here? Okay, this person says here, the Prime Minister spoke about opportunities. There is no measurements when specific statements are not made with time and date, though. Like, name the opportunities and when they'll be implemented. Okay. And this one here, I missed most of the national address because I was at work, but clear hold bill. So far, what I hear is excellent. Let us all submit, participate, and cooperate. And this text. Does anyone else get the impression that the Prime Minister's advisors scanned social media and talk shows over the weekend and put together this speech with the greatest hits? What's the difference, you might ask? Well, the public aren't criminologists. We see the obvious. The crime response team needs to do the deeper analysis. What stood out to me is that we're creating a crime lab, a gap that Guardian Radio caller pointed out last week. 2.5 years in, and he's just realizing that we need a crime lab. And if he's scanning talk show comments, exactly what is the police senior leadership doing? I'm worried. Boy, wow, okay. There's a whole lot more. Here's a couple more. This one says, do you all realize that these are foreign gangs? Why no addressing that these are foreign gangs wreaking havoc on our society? One, Ordom, and all these other names they mentioned. There's no such thing as a Bahamian gang. Oh, really? We have foreign and international terror cells that are within our borders, but you all are scared to really analyze the situation. Just get up and gossip 8 hours every week, month, year straight into another 50 years of talking and joking. Give me the great UBP any day. Well, oh boy, okay.
You see what I say about emotional dysregulation?
I mean, they were going somewhere, and then that last line.
Yeah, that went left.
Well, now we definitely don't want to hear anything from you, Texter. Okay,
Right.
so you carry.
It's so sad.
Oh boy. Okay. There are two factors that eliminate crime: education and opportunity. Period. It's really disingenuous and misleading to the public. Unless the government addresses these two key factors, we will remain in this predicament: education and opportunities. Period. Okay. Hey, well, we're going to leave that there. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more to talk about this today on the station and over the next few days.
Absolutely.
But when we come back, is this going to be something that can help break the back of the crime problem in the country? The Youth Guard program. We're going to get details about that right after the break. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Stay with us.
There's a new electric vehicle in town. The Jack brand of SUVs, trucks, sedans, and commercial vans. Available only at Easy Car Sales, home of the fully electric vehicle. For a powerful, smooth ride at a fraction of the cost to drive, leave the pump behind and hit the road with Jack. Visit easy242.com to see our brand new Jack models and drop into Easy Car Sales for a test drive. It'll have you singing. Hit the road with Jack, and don't you pump gas no more. Wherever you're headed, the Custom Computers Know-How team is standing by to help guide you in the East and the West. We now have two convenient locations on Patton Street in Palmdale and our newest store in the Caves Village Shopping Plaza through the Blake Road entrance. Discover the latest products by top international brands and the knowledge you need to unleash tomorrow's technology today. Drop by Custom Computers out east or out west. We're open Saturdays from 10 till 4.
Struggling to repay your loan? Let us help you get back on track with payment terms that suits your financial situation and improve your credit score and credit report with the Bahamas Credit Bureau. Inquire about our restructured loans today. Call us at 356-7764.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
young boy, mama used to say, learn all you can, boy, prepare for rainy day. Please stay in school, boy, hear what the teachers say. This poem from the Royal Reader will help you on your way. If you drive the nail right, boy, hit it on the head. Strike with all your might, boy, while the iron is red. When you've work to do, boy, you must do it with a will. They who reach the top, boy, must first climb the hill. Standing at the foot, boy, gazing at the sky. How do you get up, boy, if you never try? Though you stumble off, boy.
Welcome back to Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Odaz Lightburn. Okay, so this morning we are changing gears a bit, maybe just a bit, as we get more information about the Bahamas National Youth Guard program. Here to tell us all about this, we're very pleased to have with us from the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, Captain Sonia Miller, from the Office of the Prime Minister, Simone Bridgewater, and with the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, Kenneth Fraser. Good morning to all of you. Welcome to the show. Great to have you with us.
Great to be here.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy to be here.
All right, Simone, you can pull that a little closer to you. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about this. Is this new or is this something that is being redeveloped? Tell us the background of the National Youth Guard program. Who wants to start? Captain Miller?
Okay.
And you can pull yours a little closer as well. Mm-hmm.
Okay, the National Youth Guard program was founded in the, actually its genesis came from out of the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, and it has recently expanded to the Ministry of National Security, providing special training alongside our BDF officers, who are one of the key agents that responds to disaster management.
How long has it been now?
Well, the program initially started last year, March, under the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture. And here this morning with us is Mr. Kenneth Fraser, and he was the previous National Youth Guard coordinator.
Okay.
And so I think it's very fitting for me to hand it over to him, and he can tell you how they initially started it, but this will be the first rodeo for the Royal Bahamas Defense Force.
Excellent.
As we execute Cohort 2.
All right. So Kenneth Fraser, this is not to be confused with National Youth Service, right?
No.
No.
The purpose of this program is, as a National Youth Guard, is to help young people, especially our citizens, be able to combat natural disasters. We realized, for example, we know Dorian hit, and one of the things it did was it caught a lot of our people off guard. And we realized that the best way to prepare our citizens is to actually train them so they can assist during these times. We realized that they are the persons that live in these communities, and they would know the community better than anybody else. So it would be better that we have experts in the community who can not just deal with a disaster, but also deal with preparations before a disaster. They're the persons who are going to know if their area has flooding. They're going to be the persons who know if they are where trees that may be hanging on power lines. And those kind of things, we want persons to be able to help prepare their communities as before a disaster, as well as help to rebuild it, because they have the most stake in it. So that was the purpose and the mindset behind the program.
All right. So how many people were in the first cohort?
The first cohort, we had 65 persons.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And tell us about the people who got into the program and the people that you're looking for. What type of people?
All right. So just like we said, the purpose of it is for persons to build their communities. So we're looking for young people who are looking to provide for their communities, who will provide service. So we had a person between the ages of 18 and 25, a bunch of young persons from all over the Bahamas. We had them from New Providence, Grand Bahama, Abaco, Eleuthera, I think it's over 12 different islands. We had all over persons coming in to be able to do the training and learn how they can go out back into their communities and be able to assist. Once they did the training, the second part of it was an internship where they actually go back onto their islands and they actually work in different agencies to actually practice what they would have learned, so that when the time does come, they know what to do to be able to help help their community as well as the country.
Yeah. What did that training entail?
They learned skills. They got certifications from BTVI, whether it was electrical, plumbing, carpentry. They got first aid training. They got trainings on boat certifications, as well as I call it STW certifications, which included first aid, fire, and seafaring training, so they'd be able to assist in a variety of ways.
Mm-hmm. Did everybody who went in come out? Did they all stay for the whole time?
Well, not everyone, but we had, I'd say over 90% of the persons.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah, over 90% of the persons continue the entire thing. Some people started to miss home, and because it takes you to stay into to want to continue through it. But 90% of the persons was excited to be a part of it and stayed the entire time and continue. Actually, we still have those persons in contact now, because the next part of it is the reservists, where we actually can call them to be able to assist. They've actually done a few community works where they've been in the community doing things.
Mm-hmm. What was the breakdown between men and women?
It was really close to 50-50.
It was really close.
It was
Okay.
about
Like
48,
48, 52.
That's pretty
yeah,
good.
It was really close.
Yeah.
Yeah, girls at 52.
Excellent.
Women at 52, guys at 48.
Mhm.
Yeah, really, really, really close.
Mm-hmm. So they are now reservists, and if you need them, they're available.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now that it's under the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, it's going to be more like a boot camp, or what are you what are you all going to be doing?
Well, we're still going to focus on our the main priorities of the training. Yes, they will be trained on the Royal Bahamas Defense Force Base, HMBS Coral Harbor, and they will get a small little taste of some military training and discipline. But the main focus here is that they're here to learn about disaster management, disaster preparedness. It's all about youth empowerment, and it's all about making sure that they know what we expect of them, and that they have the capacity and the capabilities to do what is expected.
So I actually have a quick question. I'm looking at the website, which looks great, by the way, and I do see some photos. Do persons wanting to enlist, these young persons, do they need to know how to swim? Because I see a lot of photos, and I heard you say something about the seafaring, right? So obviously, if you're faring on the sea, you need that. So is that something that will be taught? Do they need to have that as a prerequisite skill? How does that work?
No, there's no prerequisite skills. Everything is for beginners. So if you don't know how to swim, that is something we have built into our program.
Okay.
You'll get a few swimming lessons. You'll basically get an introduction just to about everything that we requires you to be able to do from the program. And so you may not be the swimmer of the watch, but you will be taught how to at least save yourself, and that is something that is very important.
So with people coming from the Family Islands, everyone's going to be living at the Defense Force? How does it work exactly?
Yes, the same way we enlist our recruits. We did the same thing with them yesterday. We had a new group who came in yesterday, and so we took them through the same formalities.
Wow.
But not that vigorous military component of it, We have to remember that these individuals are civilians and not military personnel. So I don't want persons who to be afraid for signing up for the program because they feel as if I'm coming to the Royal Bahamas Defense Force Base, I'm coming to get military training. No, it's certain aspects of the training that that can use to help build your character, your discipline, you will receive. But the main focus on the program, youth empowerment, disaster management, and we want to make sure you're employable so that at the end of the day, you get something out of this.
This is
exactly
what we need
Yes,
right now in this country.
Yes.
What we've been talking about all morning, right? And all year, from the start of the new year, something like this for people in this age group. How many weeks is this program?
Okay, it's a 10-week basic training program. That's phase 1. And then there's a phase 2 program. Once they would have completed phase 1, they go into a 6 weeks internship program. That's on the job. We place them with different agencies or government departments, and ensure that they are able to work there and get to experience some on-the-job training.
Mhm.
And then the third phase of it is the reserve, the call-up part of it. Let's say they would have completed training in March, and God forsake, this is just hypothetically speaking, we're impacted with a hurricane during the hurricane season.
Mhm.
At least we have a group of trained young people that we can call up to assist with some disaster response activities.
Right.
And so these individuals, under the National Emergency Disaster Plans, in our emergency support functions, there's an area there that speaks to volunteers. And so they will be weaved into the National Disaster Plan as an official volunteer group within the Bahamas who the government can call upon and utilize to assist. And this can be in various capacities. It could be where they're coming in just to assist with the EOC management. It could be perhaps just assisting around the shelters and shelter management, or it could be relief supply and distribution, where they work at different relief sites, the warehouses, helping to get relief items out and throughout the community.
Wow.
So it's various capacities that we can utilize young people.
So you've already filled cohort number 2, or you're still looking to recruit?
We're still recruiting. It's going to be open for an additional 2 weeks.
Okay.
So we would just like to encourage all young individuals out there between the ages of 18 and 25. Please sign up and join. They can log on to National Youth Guard, that's nyg.bahamas.gov.bs, and just go into the portal and sign up.
How many people can you accommodate? How many people are you looking for?
For this particular cohort, we're looking for somewhere around, say, the 60 mark. We're almost just about there. So we want to encourage people to come on board. We're about halfway there. We still have about 2 more weeks to go. And I know that people are going to be filling those slots very quickly.
Now, Dwight, we do want to tell young people that are not in college, that are not working, that are looking for something to do, that during these 16 weeks, if you apply and you pass the application process, your voluntary service is not in vain. There is a stipend.
I was about to ask.
The time that you were there,
Okay.
so don't think it's gratis. It's on air. You're definitely being given a little bit. You're gonna get rich, but it's to supplement you as you take this time out for service and for country, right?
Plus all your meals are covered at the base?
The France Boss does wonderful food.
Everything is paid for. Like Ms. Bridgewater said, they do receive a stipend.
And I just want to chime in, because if you go on the website, nyg.bahamas.gov.bs, the introductory application at the bottom, super simple. You can literally do this in under 15 seconds. You can do it on your phone. Super simple to at least get the process started, get your name in there. And they are definitely serious about the stipend portion, because if you go to the supporting documents section, it does say proof of bank account showing your bank number, your statement or screenshot. So this is just not something they're saying. They actually have it in there up front. So I think, kudos for that. But yeah, go ahead and check it out, nyg.bahamas.gov.bs. It's super simple, and it has a frequently asked questions portion that you could go ahead and have a look. This is a amazing initiative, and I encourage everyone to go ahead and apply if you fall into this bracket.
Really quickly, any requirements, health requirements, or any other types of situations where this might not be the program for you?
Well, let me just say, there's a medical form that they will have to complete, and that's basically it. We just want to make sure that you're physically fit, mentally and physically, to participate in the training.
If you're in that age category, but you've had some legal issues before, can you still apply for this? Will that be an issue?
No, at this time, unfortunately, we require you to have a clean police record to participate in the program. But just bear in mind, there's no formal education that you require to be a part of the program. And so that's why we made it very basic and simple for persons to come on board. If you did not get those BJCs and those BGCSEs when you were in high school, this is the opportunity to get additional certificates and certifications that can require you to, actually that can assist with you being employed to another, to any agency or company.
Yeah.
I must say the program is very beneficial. We would have had some persons who would have been employed following their job placement and internship. So the opportunities are there, and it's just up for people to take advantage of it. And also remember now the program comes under the Ministry of National Security. So if we have individuals who sign up for the program and we realize, hey, you have the qualifications, you can be a prison officer or a defense force officer or a police officer. At the end of it, we can say, let's send your application forward and see what comes out of it. So the opportunities are there. And likewise, I'm sure if we find those individuals, who are dedicated and committed, we're going to try and see and assist with ensuring that they can find something to do. So.
This is a great program. You wanted to say? Yeah.
I just wanted to say, if you have a family member, that is not quite sure their direction in life right now, especially in that age bracket, our frontal lobes do not develop until we're 25. So I love that this is that 18 to 25 bracket. The requirements are super simple. You have to be between 18 and 25, available for the 3 months of training, a citizen. It's super simple requirements. So if you have a niece or nephew, son or daughter that is not doing anything productive, but that they have a lot of potential, they're intelligent, and give your fridge a break for 3 months. They're going to feed them. Yes. They're going to, reduce that BPL bill. Get them into something constructive where they could at least, at the very worst, know that, okay, definitely I don't want to do this. But at the best, can send them on a whole different trajectory. So, kudos to the team and to the government for this initiative and for all of you, working hard to make sure that, this is coming to us, right? Because there's so many things that go on and we often don't know. So. I'd like to congratulate you and thank you for coming.
Only 2 more weeks. That means basically towards the end of January you have to apply, and give us the website one more time for folks to apply for this.
nyg.bahamas.gov.bs.
nyg.bahamas.gov.bs for the Youth Guard program. Thank you so much for being here this morning. This is great stuff, and an avenue for people who are really, really looking for something, some purpose in life. And this is excellent. Captain Sonia Miller, Simone Bridgewater, and Kenneth Fraser, thank you so much for being with us this morning. Appreciate it. All right, we're going to take a break and be back with business in just a bit.
Why they lock away? Don't mind what your friends say, boy. Crime doesn't pay. Listen, prison only look good from the outside, but when you behind bars, boy, now that's a different vibe. The first thing you regret, boy, is the last thing that you do. Then you have to worry about somebody tickling you. Come on, crime doesn't pay, boy. Crime doesn't pay. Don't throw your life away, boy. Crime doesn't pay. If being bad was good, boy, then why they lock away? Don't mind what your friends say, boy. Crime doesn't pay. You lived in a small room that's crowded to the max. You can't get what you want, boy, no matter how you act. Few people come to visit you, but only for a while. Then they forget about you like you're going out of style. Cause crime doesn't pay, boy. Crime doesn't pay. Don't throw your life away, boy. Crime doesn't pay. If being bad was good, boy, then why they lock away? Don't mind what your friends say, boy. Crime doesn't pay. No! Woo! Boy, you do the crime. You do that time now. Don't worry about that.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Blend Business on this Monday, January 15th, 2024. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan along with Odaz Lightburn, who's my special guest co-host today. And this morning, we are trying to debunk some myths about national insurance in the country. And we've got, I think, the greatest expert on everything, NIB, Pandora Butler, with us this morning. Always a pleasure. Great to have you with us.
Good to be here. Did you hear the collective groan out there?
Nobody.
Oh.
Everyone's cheering. Everyone's cheering because you're the only person who's ever answered our questions. And I have to admit, we didn't approach NIB about this, but we know in the past it seems to be very reluctant to talk about issues and to do the public relations and answer the questions. I don't know what that's about. Hopefully this new year will bring a change there. But I knew that if I approached you, wouldn't have to write letters to the king and all the weird things that are required when you ask for some of these agencies. Yeah. But there've been this is the year we're expecting to have an increase here. I want you to explain that to folks. This is one we haven't had many with national insurance in a long time, but also some of the things that people are putting out there. And disturbing things about what they should do or should not do as a business because this increase is coming. We even there was an article in the Nassau Guardian last week, small business being encouraged to hire more part-time workers as the NIB rate hike looms. That just seems to be counter everything we know about NIB, and that's going to hurt us all in the long term, wouldn't it?
Yes, absolutely. When I first heard the headline, I just heard the headline, just some sound bites, I was taken aback. Because in the past, Mark Turnquist, when he had his small business symposiums, I was a regular to talk about national insurance. So Mark knows the issues, he knows the challenges as it relates to solvency and sustainability of the Social Security Fund. And so I was taken aback. When I read it, I was concerned. On the face of it, he knows the challenges, and you'll see he detailed them. However, what he's saying seems to be diametrically opposed, as you said, to Social Security, the whole tenets of Social Security. Social Security exists to be a financial safety net for workers of this nation and nations around the world where it exists. And so when you start to whittle away at the protection and the coverage for workers, you're getting into dangerous waters.
Absolutely.
Because national insurance contributions are directly aligned to income and earnings and wages. And so if you say hire part-time workers, that seems to suggest to me you're going to be paying them less. Their benefits and other emoluments are going to be less. And so at the end of the day, that worker is greatly disenfranchised. That workers' ability to get a good benefit, not just pensions, we're talking about short-term benefits because life happens.
Right.
All right? And so his ability to get a good benefit at the end of the day is greatly compromised because of that. So that's a dangerous thinking for labor as well. But certainly for Social Security, it goes against our tenet. And so that's why NIB should be concerned. And let me just say, you said it, I don't work for NIB.
Right.
I'm talking about national insurance. And so that's why the policymakers ought to be concerned about pronouncements like that and recommendations like that.
Yeah. So we'll get into that a little more in just a bit. But let's talk about what is going to be happening. We're told that's going to happen in July, I believe. Yes. This is history because we haven't had many increases at all. But some people are confused because something keeps going up every few years.
Yes.
What's the difference here? Break it down so everyone can understand.
Thanks, Dwight. The fact is that national insurance has never had an increase, and people will look at me side-eye like, this woman crazy. National insurance has never had an increase. When NIB opened its doors to administer Social Security in 1974, it did so with a defined benefits package. That defined benefits package included programs that would come on years later. For example, self-employed persons weren't added till 2 years later. Industrial benefits didn't come on until 1980. However, the package from the outset contained payment for those. So those were already there. So the payment for those, the cost of those was 8.8%. When self-employed people came on 2 years later, it was 6.8% for them. That benefits package has never, the price of it has never changed.
Wow.
Even though I saw in the paper, and I hear people say it all the time, but in 2010, you all went up. What happened in 2010 was a new benefit was added. So the package in 74 costs the same today. And even in 2010, that 1% that was added was only added for employed persons.
Right.
Self-employed don't get unemployment, and so they don't pay for it. So you will see you got an additional benefit, and that's what cost $1. So that is untenable, absolutely unsustainable. That's something in 74.
50 years.
50 years ago
years.
in October.
Yep.
Something that cost 8.8% then can't possibly cost 8.8% now.
Can you imagine if salaries didn't go up and all that time? That would be a disaster.
There'd be riots, okay? But consider the medical aspect of national insurance. And this is something small businesses need to consider as well. NIB, or National Insurance through NIB, takes all of the burden from them for medical care. If one of their workers is injured, part-time, full-time, whatever the case is, if one of them is injured, NIB takes care of all of their bills reasonably attached to that benefit. And if anything should happen and they continue to be ill or they're disabled, continues to pay for them. So that's a big chunk that national insurance takes on for businesses, all right? And so medical care, millions of dollars. Few employers in this country can afford to pay what NIB pays for their staff.
Right.
And that's whether you pay $600 a week or $100 a week. Every cent of your reasonably associated costs is covered. All right? So there's no way NIB could continue. And we've been clamoring, I say we when I was there, for this increase long ago. Somebody said they kicked the can down the road. Now it's against the wall, bouncing back. And that's the God's honest truth.
Yeah.
This should have happened incrementally over the years, but it didn't. It's reached critical mass now because you hear the projections, and these have been the projections for years. This is nothing new. Since 74, actuaries have determined this is what needs to happen so that this doesn't happen. It doesn't catch anybody by surprise. But policymakers have not taken the bull by the horn, I think is the expression is. They've not done it. It should have been done long ago.
So this is as you say, benefit to the workers, to everybody, but there are lots of people, especially businesses, who are out there saying, this is going to destroy us, this is bad, why are we doing this? The government can't show us what they're doing this. They always bring up stuff like, how is NIB using the money, that kind of thing. Let's talk about that and why there is this negative perception, people seeing it as a tax and seeing it as a burden.
Okay, this is the God's honest truth, Dwight. In my years, 29 years at NIB, I started out as PR officer. And even when I transitioned to chief manager in the office of the director, I still did some PR. I still went out and talked. In fact, I still do it, believe it or not. I have found, without fail, Whenever I explain the issues and went to the law, because I don't talk of my own, I go to the law and I explain the issues, the majority, if not all of the listeners will say, absolutely, we need to do this. When is this going to happen? You talk about the negative response, it's because you're not saying anything to the people.
Lack
They
of
don't
communication.
understand what the issues are. Once
Correct.
they understand it, because listen, this could mean a collapse of our Social Security program. This could mean, at the very least, my daughter, who's now working, will have to pay 2-3 times more than I paid. And that's not fair. That's not fair. So these are the issues. And for small businesses and as well as every Bahamian, every thinking Bahamian, every Bahamian who's looking down the road, who's not looking just to consume everything today on themselves. They're looking to set this Social Security program up, this Bahamas up, to succeed in the long run. Because I tell you, I haven't claimed my benefit yet, and I was retired from NIB almost 3 years ago.
Wow.
And that's because at that age that NIB retires, all of us, we can't get our full benefit. So I choose to wait, others don't. And I'm saying that to say, when it's my time to get my benefit, I don't want nobody tell me ain't no more money there. Okay? Or if the money is there, we have to wait. We got to wait till we collect contributions, and people got to stay there and wait to get their money, and that happens. Today, that happens. That's been happening down in the Caribbean. That's been happening in Europe. You heard of the riots years ago. And so this is very serious, because the majority of Bahamian workers who retire don't have sufficient savings. They don't have sufficient pension, private pensions, even workplace pensions. Some don't have workplace pension. And so what's being suggested by small businesses people is that we reduce that further, because if you're a part-time worker, you have no pension.
Right.
Some full-time workers don't have pension, but imagine they have none. They have none. In addition to the reduced earnings, they don't have any benefits put aside. So what's going to happen? And so that's why Social Security exists.
Yeah.
And so somebody needs to say something. Someone needs to say something.
All right, so this issue that with every couple of years something seems to, what is that keeps changing every few years? What is that?
Let me give you an example. In 2021, I was driving a 20-year-old car. My car was 20 years old. My insurance on that was little or nothing. I can't remember, $200-$300, if that. All right? I got a new car in 2021. My insurance on that tripled, maybe quadrupled. Why? Because the value of that car increased. When a worker works and earns $100, for example, that's what is insured. In commercial insurance terms, because national insurance insures your ability to earn. That's what it earns. I mean, that's what it insures, your ability to earn up to a ceiling. And so if you're earning $100, it will insure your $100. So when life happens and you can't earn that $100, you get a percentage of the 100, right? But when you get a promotion, you change jobs, whatever it is, now you make $300. So what does Social Security do? Insure your $300. And so when you get a benefit, it's not based on that $100, it's based on $3. And that brings in the whole idea of relevance. And so every time you get an increase, you insure that, because then it's relevant to you. You understand? So that's not an increase in the rates. That's the increase in your coverage.
Okay.
So
So
your
does that
coverage is
happen for
increased.
everybody or only people who are at a different salary level?
Everybody who makes less than the ceiling, because you insure actual wages up to a ceiling from $1 to currently the ceiling is $7.40. So if you make anywhere from $1 to $7.30, and you make $10 more, or you make $100 more, they will collect contributions on the additional $10 to bring you to $7.40. And that has nothing to do with solvency or sustainability. That has everything to do with relevance to the worker.
Right.
Because the worker who only gets $60 when they get sick, because they insure only $100, will be terribly upset if his earnings every week is $600. It's like, what is this?
So people see this and think this is NIB's getting increases all the time.
Absolutely.
But that is not what this is at all.
Absolutely not. It is better coverage for the worker. And the workers know that. I've heard I heard it, I saw it on the radio sometime, no, in the newspaper. How NIB expect me to live off this?
Right.
NIB
Everybody's
has no
saying that.
expectation about your earnings or your pension. It's directly based on what you pay in and the amount on which you pay. You see? And it's not a lot. It's modest. What you pay is modest, so it has to go up. Because in 2016, it was referenced in the newspaper. In 2016, for the first time, income from contributions, investments were not sufficient to cover benefit and assistance obligations or administrative costs.
Right.
And so that's a dangerous position. So now what is the long-term scenario? I think 2029, somewhere around there. It used to be 2032. It's going down when the fund will be depleted. That's a dangerous consideration.
Scary.
It's very scary. Very scary. And if Bahamians aren't scared, they need to wake up and get scared.
All right, so the article in the paper encouraging folks to hire more part-time workers.
Yes.
But we know that is happening.
Yes.
People are doing that.
Yes.
Have a lot of people on these unusual contracts and bringing people to do jobs here and there and whatever.
Yes.
Somebody's asking, you have major companies doing this part-time hiring, knowing quite well this is wrong just to dodge national insurance. You all, who's that, need to step in and make these companies pay because it's unfair to be making far less and unable to make a contribution. Who's the you all? But who is the you all?
Well, it's not NIB can't be the you all. You all in that. NIB collects contributions. I said it already on actual wages up to the ceiling. NIB has no authority to step in and say, you know what? You ought to be paying this person that amount. I think that's a labor issue, a union issue. It's not an NIB issue. NIB does not or should not get involved in those kinds of things because they'll be outside of their lane.
Yeah, I would even lend in to say that it's not even an employer issue. You know, if you are someone that is working part-time, part-time should feel temporary, right? And so that's why I keep talking about personal accountability. You should not, you know, as old people say, lay your bed for working part-time for 10, 15, 20 years. You should not do that. Part-time, maybe just look at it as a stepping stone, you know, work on your skills to kind of move up a little bit so that you're not subject to the mercy and I wouldn't even say the mercy of, but just subject to that which you do not want. Like we have to think individually long-term. So, you know, you just can't say, well, you know, the business people are in trouble. They may only need a part-time worker. You know, why would they lend to their load when part-time is just as efficient? You see what I'm saying? So I think we have to be careful not to demonize the very businesses that, you know, are the lifeblood of the country and look at personal accountability and not seeing, you know, any entity as like a villain, because we have personal accountability. We could choose not to do it. And if you are forced into a situation, you could look at it temporarily. That interview that we just had, you know, that may be better for some people than a part-time job because they're giving a stipend, you know, room and board and training and placement. So I want to be careful of those narratives.
Well, I want to address that because there are other words, there are other concepts used for the same part-time or temporary.
Right.
They may call them contracted workers.
Right, independent.
And the end result is the same.
Yeah.
And you talk about people working these jobs for years. There are people who work just as much as any full-time person.
Right, 9 to 5, 5 days a week, and you're part-time.
And you're part-time or
Right.
you're on contract or whatever the case is. That's not necessarily, for me, a case of personal responsibility. That's almost exploitation. I have seen it. It's exploitation to get around what you should be doing morally. These are human beings and you don't want it done to you. Because again, our national insurance exists to be a safety net for workers of this country. Because I will tell you, I have seen a lot of employers, when a worker retires at 65, he gets a watch, maybe a watch, and see you later, that's it. When a worker dies, the employer may come to the funeral and give the little children a little something, and that's the end of that. And that's why Social Security exists, and it ought to be a partnership. They're not supposed to be enemies, all right? They're supposed to be in partnership, looking out for the social protection of workers of this country, because they are workers as well.
Yeah.
And they need and want the coverage as well. I've never seen an employer as a contributor say, you know what? I don't need the money when it's my time. You keep it, give it to these people. It's never happened. So we're all in this together. And so this whole idea, and we're not talking about them needing temps, we're talking about someone who's suggesting replace your full-time workers with temporary workers. That's sinister. That's not, they may only need a temporary worker. That's sinister. You're suggesting, and I've seen it. I've seen it in the years that I've been there. They do it. They find ways to get around. But when we look at it, we're not looking at putting money in NIB's coffers, It's not about that. NIB does not exist to collect money, does not exist to make a profit or surplus. Plus, NIB exists so that no worker of this country ought to come to the end of his work life for whatever reason, short term because he got injured, can't work again, or he's old now, should not come to that point in life where they have nothing to lean on or to fall back on. That's why national insurance exists, and that's why employers, that's why they should exist as well. I mean, for them as well. Listen, we're in this for profit. This is a not-for-profit organization, but you need to be morally responsible because these people are your mommy, daddy, cousin, Gordy, uncle, auntie, grandparents. They're certainly mine, and so I'm passionate about them.
Yeah. What's the contribution right now, employer versus employee? Where does it stand at the moment?
Okay, for an employed person, it's now 9.8%, and again, it used to be 8.8, but that 1% for unemployment. Okay, and that's shared 3.8. Let me make sure my math is right. 9.8, 5.4, and 5, 6, 7, 8, 3.4, something like that.
3.4 the employee.
The employer pays the lion's share.
Right.
2% more.
Right.
The employer pays 2% more, and that covers them for industrial coverage. That takes away their obligation under workman's comp, the old workman's comp, from paying for that. So NIB, for only 2%, pays for their medical bills and whatever else associated with that. For the self-employed person, it's 6.8% outright. He doesn't get unemployment benefit. I said 6.8, it's 8.8. It used to be 6.8. And it used to be 6.8 for self-employed persons in Class A. It's kind of a little complicated because there used to be two classes of self-employed persons. Used to be the ones in B and the ones in A. The ones in B were a distinct identified class. Chef fishermen, who else? Straw, fruit and vegetable vendors, taxi drivers who ply their taxis for hire, etc. They were entitled to industrial coverage, and so they paid 8.8% as well.
Right.
All right? The ones, doctors, lawyers, Indian chief, all of them, they paid the 6.8% because they didn't get industrial coverage. Well, in 2010, the 2010 amendments made it possible for them to now get industrial coverage, and that took effect January 2011. So they pay 8.8%. And let me just tell you, I remember I had friends who weren't paying their national insurance, and the excuse was, well, we don't get medical coverage, yada, yada, and if we get medical coverage, we'll pay. Medical coverage became a thing for them. January 2011, did they run out to pay? Very few of them did. So they'll continue to find excuses because they don't look down the road.
Yeah.
They don't think long term.
Yeah.
This is in your best interest.
All right, so people have called in and texted in to say that it should be 50-50 employer-employee, but you just made the case for it, the industrial coverage, that's why the employer pays the lion's share.
Obviously, they would understand that. Before national insurance, the act was passed in 1972, December 1972. Before that was passed, there was a Workmen's Compensation Act that said employers were responsible for having insurance against anything that happened on his job, rising out of or in the course of his job. He had to pay this so that the people are covered. And so NIB took that on, that 2% on. And that's the difference. It is 50-50 if you discard the industrial coverage.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Wow. So this is a totally different issue, but they're asking how many properties are in the NIB portfolio. People keep bringing this up a lot. I don't know if you can answer that now.
No, I can't answer them. I can tell them some of them that I know, but it's an easy thing. By June 30th of every year, national insurance is required by legislation to produce an annual report. Now, if they haven't produced last year was 2023, They won't have done that one yet. So look for the 2022 one. It lists it. And it actually lists the returns. Who's paying, who's not paying. Everything is there. It's transparent. People just like to speculate. Just go to the annual report.
But people keep bringing this up about the buildings and who's whatever. Like, what difference would that make to your national insurance? Do you understand why they bring it up?
Because people look for excuses not to pay. They also bring up, the terrible service. And I say to them, listen, that same woman or man who got bad attitude, who treat you bad, at the end of the day can get their benefit because their contributions are being paid. You don't let them cause you not to get a benefit. But back to the properties, national insurance, they have to understand that. National insurance collected contributions that I talked about. By 2016, national insurance had lots of surpluses, especially in the early days. The surpluses couldn't just sit there. It couldn't, because every day you sit there not earning any interest, you're losing money. And so it has to invest. It has an investment portfolio. And NIB has some considerations. How do I invest? And when I say NIB, policymakers determine how do I invest. And you have to consider that it has to be safe. So safety, liquidity, and yield are considerations. Safety is the number one consideration because it's the pension fund of the country. All right? And so a part of that safety consideration would be investment with government. And government guarantees repayment. And a large part of the portfolio is building government buildings. Actually funding them, turning them over to government. And government pays. Is a lease agreement. Used to be 1 3/4 above prime. I can't tell you what it is now. I used to be directly involved in the annual reports. I used to do those. And so I knew up to when I stopped doing that.
Right.
But I can't tell you if it's still that now. But that's an important part of the investment portfolio. And I will tell you this absolute truth. People know they could trust me. When NIB started in 74, I mentioned it. The period of equilibrium was said to happen in 1999. And that's interesting because that was America's period of equilibrium as well.
Oh, wow.
So 1999, 25 years after it started, we were supposed to reach the point where everything coming in supposed to go out. If nothing was done, and you remember those headlines, if NIB does nothing, they go broke, years later. But I'm saying in 1999, NIB had done so well with administration, with finances, with investment, that they were able to push that date back. And so you see now what's happening, it's been pushed back. But by 1999, they'd done such a good job. And it was because of the investment, the safety. When 2008 happened, downturn in the
Great Recession
in the global economy, NIB didn't lose. I don't know if they lost anything. They didn't lose a whole lot. I remember Gulf Union Bank, NIB had some deposits there, and so there was $1 million or so there. But my understanding, my remembrance is that NIB was one of the first first entities to be paid by them. So there have not been a lot of defaults. So those investments have been godsends. That's why we're still at this point having this discussion. Otherwise, that would have been a long time ago. Okay, so that's a good thing.
When did you retire? What year was that?
2021.
Okay, so right after, in the heart of the pandemic.
Yes,
there.
yes.
What impact did that pandemic have on NIB? I mean, a lot of it was managing government money, not necessarily national insurance,
Right.
but you had to administer it.
Yes.
What impact did it have?
Well, I want to say people saw the millions being paid out. I dare say, the solvency and the sustainability of the fund was not that negatively impacted by COVID, by unemployment benefit. These are short-term. Let me tell you what's impacting this discussion. The great numbers of baby boomers and them who will come afterwards. I'm a baby boomer, even though I caught the end of it. As we retire, it's the pensions. Pensions, retirement, then consider the vast number of children who were first made orphans by the scourge of drugs, orphans by AIDS, orphans now by murders. That's a pension. And then you have people who are injured who will be paid for life. So it's the pensions fund that's the heaviest drawdown on the fund. It's not unemployment and sickness and those are a lot, but those are not the issue. Those are not the issue.
And Bahamians are living longer, they tell us, right?
I see people, I look at the obituary column with a different eye from the average person. I look at the number of persons who are in their 90s. There were so many of them in their 80s and 90s. That means they've been getting a benefit for 20, 30 years. Wow. Some have been getting it for longer because they may have been invalids from their 20s. They may have been disabled from their 20s. Too, right? And then there's survivor's benefit. It's the pensions. That's the biggest problem. Okay, so they're living longer. And those ones, and people will rise up and say, well, what about, I see a lot of people like these young men getting killed young. But you have to look at these young men pay contributions. Were there any help to the fund in the first place?
Wow.
And if they didn't, NIB will still consider paying their children survivor's assistance. Because it's not the child's fault that the daddy didn't pay or the mommy didn't pay. And so there's a lot of considerations people need to have for this fund and what it means.
Wow.
And they just have these knee-jerk responses, or they thief in the money. Listen, if they thief $1 million, that $1 million can't pay 1 month of benefits.
Whoa.
So these are not the considerations. Of course, if you thief, prosecute you, send you to jail, whatever the case is. But I'm saying that's not the problem. And don't let that give you a negative view of the Social Security program because you need it. We need it. I definitely need it.
Yeah. You mentioned riots earlier in Europe. We saw what happened in France when they proposed that they extend the retirement age.
Yes.
How much of a difference would that make in the Bahamas if we extended the retirement age? What would that do to national insurance?
It would definitely make a difference. But here's the thing. In 2012, the last set of amendments, NIB offset the increased ages. You know, you always got a lesser benefit if you claimed it early.
Right.
Because you could claim it from age 60.
Right.
But in 2012, they say, you know what? As an incentive, let's make it kind of fair for them. Let's encourage them to wait longer. And when you wait longer to get it, you get more.
Right.
So, again, not so much solvency, but relevance. So if you wait till you're 70, you're going to get 35% more. Kind of offset it, eh? So changing the age. For me, and this is my recommendation when we did a whole, listen to me, pages and pages of suggested amendments. I don't know where they are.
Oh, boy.
One of the amendments that I was pushing was for you to increase the age at which you can get the benefit. I don't mean the 65 years. I'm talking about age 60. The problem with that is the same government who are the policymakers for Social Security has its own agencies where people are forced to retire at 60. So the majority of those people you forced to retire at 60 are going to claim a benefit. Why do you have such an early drawdown on the Social Security program? Increase the age at which they retire. Encourage them to retire later, because believe it or not, if you could die at 70, you could die at 70 whether you retire at 68 or not. And so that means if you claim at 65 and you die at 70, you only had 5 years. However, if you claim at 60, you still die at 70, that's 10 years. I could see that as something that you could consider.
Yeah.
They need to increase the age at which you get early retirement. And then especially government agencies, retire people at 65, but they still have the option to retire if they're 40 or if they choose, right?
But you
still
just
have the
wouldn't
option.
get your benefits.
Exactly. But that's your choice because you know. You see? But you have no choice at agencies where you have to retire at 60.
Wow. All right, we have a whole lot of messages here on our text line. Let's see how many of these we can get through. Wow. Oh, boy. Okay, we're talking with Pandora Butler, who is our NIB expert here. No longer with NIB, I don't understand.
Insurance expert.
National insurance expert, because you're not with NIB any longer. I don't understand that, because you really need to be there, because you're the only one doing public relations for them. This is crazy stuff. Anyway, okay. Ms. Butler has a benefit. You said a benefit was already added. Is it possible for persons to forego benefits to be able to pay a lesser amount? Why would you want to do that? Also, is it possible for persons to pay more to be able to get more money or benefits when they retire? Okay, that last part is interesting.
I love that question. However, actuarially, they'll tell you NIB does not, well, Social Security does not need to get bigger. Because when it does, it tends to push out the other providers. So there are providers of annuity and retirement.
Get a private pension.
Why would NIB want to push them out of the market? They don't. And so I do not see that happening. We have issues right now. We can take on more. But as for your saying, you know what, I don't want unemployment. Let's do a la carte. I need maternity no more because I past childbearing age. So take that out. Take out unemployment. Take out industrial because my job ain't that dangerous. You can't do that because you know what Social Security does? Social Security plays the numbers. It's all about everybody together putting into the same pot. Not everybody's going to get out the same amount. Not everybody's going to get out the amount they paid, but that's how it works. That's how it works. So no, that's not going to happen.
I mean, we know the answer to this one. This person says, do MPs pay NIB?
Absolutely.
Of course, everybody.
Everybody gainfully employed within the Commonwealth of the Bahamas is required to pay. Now, if they pay, that's another question. I don't know. But they're supposed to, if that's the question.
Okay. This texter says, are you sure about what you're saying? Bahamians go into any business to make a killing, not a living. You want a slave to only make yourself rich. Shame on them. Businesses have too many foreigners working already. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
You remember that interview? The small percentage of Bahamian businesses turning over $5 million. They're not winning. I'm sorry.
Well, that's what they claim.
Yeah, but that's not. You can look around and see.
Yeah.
Right? No, it's not.
This one says, how many contributions do you have to make in order to earn the maximum retirement benefits from NIB if you're contributing to the ceiling?
Okay, that's a little involved. However, there is the percentage based on the number of contributions, which on the face of it is all you're asking. So contributions up to 2,000, that's 40 years, will give you the maximum percentage, which is 60%. 60% is the most you can get. However, other issues come into play. The average amount on which you paid, the highest average amount on which you paid, the age at which you claim the benefit, all of those come into play. But 40 years or 2,000 will give you the 60%. And there are other considerations, as I said. But strictly speaking, 2,000 weeks of contributions.
You said it already. How much should self-employed people pay? What was that again?
8.8% of their average insured income, and they're all subject to the same ceiling. Ceiling.
This person says here, I work for a company that has switched the entire staff to hourly work since COVID, and I called the labor board, and there's nothing that can be done. Most people worked here for over 20 years.
Wow. Yeah. There's nothing NIB can do. NIB collects contributions on your actual wages.
So if they're hourly, what does that mean? They're
Whatever
not going
that,
to be...
No, they're covered. Hourly, commission, all of those. Those are just different ways people are paid. However, at the end of the day, whatever you make in that week, subject to national insurance contributions.
This person's asking about the ceiling. Should it not be removed? Should it be removed? Should it be raised? What difference would that make?
That goes back to the same question asked earlier about how big do you want NIB to be. NIB will not, and Social Security, let me stop saying NIB, Social Security will not insure all of your income. It just that's not what, remember now, Social Security is partial income replacement. It's not meant to take care of all of your needs. It's not meant to do that. It supplements, remember, it supplements the other two forms of security. And that would be your own savings and investments and your workplace pension should one exist. It's a a tripartite arrangement. So Social Security can't take over all. It will not. Again, we have issues right now because if all your eggs in that one basket, you'll be even more concerned right now if all of your eggs for your future savings are in the NIB basket. So it can't be. It shouldn't be. It should never be. Nowhere in the world is it like that.
Right. This person says here, increase the retirement age to 70. But this person says, leave the retirement age right where it is
65.
Because companies only pay you for a certain number of years.
Yeah, I agree to 65. and do some other things.
This person says there's another side to increasing the age, dead weight in the workplace, unable to hire young people for that much longer. Okay, that's an unpleasant way to put it, but I guess you will keep a lot of young people from entering the workforce.
But how do we weigh that against? I'm reading all the time. I think Fred Mitchell, my good friend, just said, I just saw it in the paper. We need more labor.
Yeah.
I remember Prime Minister Ingram saying many years ago that we're going to be in a spot where we don't have enough workers. So how do we juggle the two? The need to keep the workers.
I think we're actually already there.
There you go.
Right, because if you watch or if you read commentary a lot of times by business owners,
yes,
they seem to have a lack of even qualified, skilled, interested, with soft skills. It still seems to be we don't have enough.
Exactly.
And so this is where that immigration conversation needs to come into play, where we attract, some of the best and the brightest perhaps around the world.
Because we're losing some of our brightest and best as well.
We are.
So I don't think any old person or older person is pushing anybody out. There's room, it appears. If you keep your eye on what's happening, there's room for everybody. There's room for everybody. And let me backtrack a little bit about the age. The age should be increased. Social Security around the world increases the age at which you get the full benefit. But they don't increase it in years. They increase it in months. Little bit here, little bit there. Barely discernible.
Right.
So it don't hurt as much. Okay? So the age should be increased, but that cannot be the drastic step taken now. You can't increase it from 65 to 70, somebody 60.
It's not going to fix it.
That's not good. That's just going to create more problems that it fixes.
Wow.
It's not going to fix it.
Yeah, it has to go up, though.
Can you see we are out of time? This is unbelievable. Wow. Someone's saying here, wow, Pandora is talking about national insurance so exciting. She needs to come on once a month.
It is engaging.
to talk about this and what we can do as individuals.
Yes.
Definitely always engaging. Thank you so much. You are a national treasure. Thank you for being here this morning. We're going to see if we can get you on a little more often to talk about these things, especially the closer we get to July.
Yes, my pleasure.
Thank you so much, Pandora Butler.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Jazzy.
Yes, nice to meet you as well. Enjoyed this conversation.
Jazzy, remind folks what's happening tomorrow night at 6:30?
Yeah, tomorrow 6:30 to 7:30. Tune in. It's going to be Beyond the Rock, and I'm going to be speaking to a Bahamian abroad, doing amazing things in Switzerland. You're not going to want to miss that. That's going to be an amazing conversation, so please tune in.
Okay, every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday, 6:30, 7:30.
Okay, wonderful. And remember, folks, Morning Blend Business brought to you in part by CFAL, growing wealth for future generations. Pick up today's Asset Guardian for the latest in business news in the country, including about the government securing a $500 million IDB loan